welcome back to the Graceful Tangle YouTube channel. I have a brand new crochet tutorial for you guys today. I'm going to be walking you through how to make the worsted satisfaction socks, which is just a super simple worsted weight sock pattern that features the single crochet stitch. So they're perfect for beginners, or if you're more advanced and just want to crochet a cozy pair of socks, this pattern is for you as well. You'll find all of the materials that I used in today's tutorial and the pattern itself listed down in the description box below, so I highly recommend checking all of those links out. Also, and I mentioned this in the tutorial as well, but I recommend having the pattern itself printed out next to you or in a separate tab if you're on a computer or tablet or something, just because it's so helpful to have the written pattern to guide you along the tutorial as well. And if you're still learning how to read patterns, that's a great way to just get better at that skill. So this pattern is written in 3 sizes, small, medium, and large, and all of those measurements are listed in the pattern as well. But yeah, I think that's about it. I am so excited to show you guys how to make these. They're so much fun to make, take very little time and very little yarn, which is always a winner in my book. So let's go ahead and hop into the tutorial. Alrighty, so these crocheted socks start with a ribbed cuff, so that is what we're going to begin with. This part of the sock is worked flat, and then we will crochet all along the edge and begin working in the round to start the leg. So I'm going to grab my crochet hook. I'm using a 4.5mm hook, which is 1 size smaller than what I'm going to be using for the majority of my sock. And then, of course, I'm using worsted weight yarn, and I will link all of the materials that I'm using in today's tutorial in the description box below. Alrighty, so to begin the cuff, we're going to start off by chaining 9. Now this is the amount that I chained for this length of rib. If you would like it to be longer, you could chain more stitches. If you want it to be shorter, you could chain less. So definitely customize it however you'd like. But like I said, I'm going to make a slip knot and then chain 9. 6, 7, 8, 9, and now we are going to start row 1. So we're going to place a single crochet in the second chain from the hook, and then a single crochet in each chain across. Just working in that first loop, 1 single crochet in each stitch across, just like that. Row 2 is going to begin our repeat, and we are going to work row 2 until the cuff is our desired length. So I'm going to chain 1 and turn. I'm going to single crochet in the first stitch. If I can get through both loops there. There we go. Single crochet in the first stitch, and then single crochet in the back loop only of each stitch across until I have 1 stitch remaining. So in crochet we have this V for a stitch. We're going to work into the second part of that, into that back loop. And that's what's going to give us that really cute ribbed look. And we're going to repeat that across until we have 1 stitch remaining. So 1 more. And there we go. And then into that very last stitch, we're just going to work into both loops again. So that just makes the edges a little bit more secure and straight. It's also going to make them easier to work into when we begin the leg here in a second. So 1 more time, chain 1 and turn. Single crochet into the first stitch, single crochet in the back loop only of each stitch following until you have 1 stitch remaining, and then single crochet into both loops of that last stitch. So we're just going to repeat that until the cuff reaches your desired length, which is going to vary a little bit depending on what size sock that you are making. I'm going to repeat it until my cuff measures 6.5 inches. If you're doing the medium, that'll be 7.5, and then the large will be 8.5. I highly recommend having the printed version of the pattern, which will be linked down below to follow along throughout this tutorial, or you could pull it up on the blog in like a different web browser or something. So I'm going to go work the rest of my cuff, and then I'll meet back here to show you how to join it in the round to begin the leg of our sock. Once the cuff has reached your desired length, we're going to go ahead and switch hook sizes. So I'm going to move up 1 hook size to a 5mm, and I'm going to insert my hook into that stitch. And now I'm going to chain 1 and turn and slip stitch these 2 ends together to form a ring. So I'm going to bring the 2 ends together. I'm going to go through the first stitch of the next row and then the first chain of the foundation chain and slip those together And I'm just going to repeat that across, working through both layers of fabric. We're going through the next stitch and then the next foundation chain stitch all the way across. Again, we're just slip stitching along here. And I've almost made it to the end. Alrighty. And then once you get to the end, we're going to actually flip this inside out. So we're going to hide that slip stitch edge. So I'm holding it just like so, and then I'm just going to push that inside and then go ahead and chain one and turn just to get you back to where you need to be for starting the leg. So we have now completed our cuff and we are ready to single crochet all the way around it to begin the leg of our sock. I like to work the first few stitches over the tail here just so I don't have to weave it in later. Now the amount of stitches that we place around our cuff are going to vary just a little bit depending on the size that we're doing, so be sure to look at the pattern. Again, it'll be linked down below, but I'm doing the size small, so I'm going to place 28 single crochet stitches around my sock, and I'm going to average about 1 stitch per row that I worked, and then I'll place like an extra one here and there just to make it even. So I'm just going to place 28 single crochet stitches all the way around my cuff. Alrighty, once you have placed that first round of single crochet stitches, we're just going to begin crocheting the leg. So we're not going to do any slip stitching. These socks are worked in a spiral, so you may find it helpful to place a stitch marker in this first stitch here so that you know where the beginning of your round is. Truth be told, it doesn't really matter for this project, just because you won't be able to tell if your beginning around is just ever so slightly off when we begin the heel setup and the toe much later on. But now we're just going to work the leg. So I like the look of about 10 rounds for the leg of my sock, which is what I did for this one here. But you can make this longer or shorter, whatever you'd like. So I'm going to go work about 10 rows to work the leg of my sock, just single crocheting in every single stitch around. And then I will meet you back here to begin the afterthought heel setup. Alrighty, so I have now finished crocheting the leg of my sock and I'm ready to begin the afterthought heel setup. So this is just a couple of steps that we're going to work now and then continue with the foot of the sock, and then we will come back and crochet that afterthought heel once we have finished the toe. Now if you want to substitute this heel method for another heel, you totally can. I would just recommend working that heel now and then moving on with the rest of your sock. So for the first step, we're going to chain half the number of stitches that we have around our leg. So for me, for the size that I'm doing, that's 28, so I'm going to chain 14. Like I said, this number is going to vary just a little bit depending on the size that you are doing. So I'm going to chain 14 stitches. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. You want to keep those a little bit loose because trust me, it's going to make it a lot easier to work into those stitches later on if they're a little bit loose now. And now we are going to skip that same number of stitches. So again, I chained 14, so I'm going to skip 14 stitches and then single crochet into the next stitch. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and then we're going to work a single crochet into that 15th stitch. Be careful not to twist that chain. We want it to be nice and straight. Alrighty, and that is literally it. That's all the setup we're going to do for our afterthought heel. Now we are going to single crochet in every stitch and chain across. So I'm going to finish up these leg stitches. There should be 14 or half the number of stitches that you have for the leg of your sock. And then once I get to this chain, I'm going to work across those as well. And just because I like the look of it, I'm going to work into the back spine stitches of this chain. So if you turn the chain over, you can see that we have these little ridges here, kind of looks like a spine. And we are going to single crochet into those bumps. Just to give us a little bit of a neater look, this is when it's helpful if you chained loosely because these have a tendency to be a little bit tighter. But you could also work into this chain normally. You do not have to do this step if you don't want to. Again, I just like the way that it looks myself. I feel like it makes the join a little bit more invisible. when you go back and work the heel as well. So I'm just going to continue single crocheting all the way around my sock, and we are now ready to begin the foot. So for the foot, we're just going to do the same thing that we did on the leg and single crochet in each stitch around and around and around until we are ready for our toe. If you used a different heel method, work until you have 2 inches of the foot remaining. If you are doing the afterthought heel, then work until you have 4 stitches from the length. So for me, my foot is about 8 inches long. I have very small feet. So I'm going to work about 4 inches of fabric, and then I will come back and work the toe and then the heel. So I'm going to go finish up the foot of my sock, and then I will meet you back here. Alrighty, I have just finished up the foot of my sock and actually went ahead and worked the first round of the toe because it's just single crocheting in each stitch around again. It's kind of just there, like if you are deciding to make your toe a contrasting color, that will flow a little bit better into the decreases. So for round 2 of our toe, we're going to start our first decrease round, and we're going to work single crochet 2 together all the way around. So we're going to single crochet in the next 2 stitches, and then we are going to single crochet the next 2 stitches together by inserting a hook into the next stitch and pulling up a loop, and then inserting a hook into the stitch after that, pulling up a loop again, and then running over and pulling through all 3 of those loops. And we're just going to repeat that sequence all the way around. Single crochet 2, single crochet 2 together, and we're going to just repeat that step until we get back to the beginning of our round. Single crochet 2, single crochet 2 together, single crochet 2, 2 together, oops, lost the stitch there, single crochet 2, single crochet 2 together, single crochet 2, and then last time single crochet 2 together, and there we go. Now for the next 2 rounds, we're just going to single crochet in each stitch all the way around our toe. Okay, I just finished those 2 rounds of single crochet, and now we are going to work our next decrease round. For this sequence, we're going to single crochet into the next stitch, and then single crochet the next 2 stitches together. And that's it. We're just going to repeat that all the way around. So single crochet in the next stitch, single crochet the next 2 stitches together, single crochet in the next stitch, single crochet the next 2 stitches together. Repeat that all the way around until you get back to the beginning of your round. Single crochet in the next stitch, work the next 2 stitches together, single crochet in the next stitch, single crochet the next 2 stitches together. And then just like before, we're going to work 2 more rounds of just single crochet. So we're going to single crochet in each stitch around for 2 more rounds of our sock. There we go, and now I am ready for the very last round of the toe, which is super simple. We're just going to single crochet 2 together all the way around. So we're going to insert a hook into the next stitch, and the one after that, pull through all 3 of those loops. We're going to repeat that all the way around, and then we're going to use a yarn needle and close up this hole. So I have a few more stitches left. Single crochet 2 together all the way around, and there we go. And now we're just going to slip stitch into that next stitch to finish that off, and grab a yarn needle and close up this hole at the top of the toe. Alrighty, so after you cut your yarn, just yarn over and pull that tail through. And now we are going to just seam up this hole here so that we don't have it at the tip of our toe. To do that, I find it really helpful to kind of insert my hand into the sock just so that I can kind of feel those stitches a little bit better. And I'm actually going to spin it a little bit to get at the beginning. There we go. Now I'm just going to insert my needle into the front leg of every single stitch and pull through. So I'm coming back down, inserting my hook, or my needle, excuse me, into the first part of that next stitch, and then into the one after that. I'm basically doing the whip stitch around only the first leg of every stitch around. Have a couple more. This is just going to make this a really neat finishing touch. You could also work into both legs of every stitch. It is a little bit easier that way, but I find that it's more invisible if you do it with this method. And then I'm just going to pull that nice and tight, and it'll cinch right up, just like that. And then I'm going to go through the stitches, just a few of them once more, to make that extra secure. And then I like to go down the center with that tail, and then weave it in on the inside of the sock. And there is our finished toe. Now the heel is exactly the same as the toe, but there are just a couple of differences in the first rounds since it is an afterthought heel. So I'm going to show you how to work those and then leave you to it to work the second half of the heel. Alrighty, I'm ready to work the heel of my sock. I'm going to insert my hook into any stitch along the leg or foot, whichever you prefer. I'm going to pull up my yarn and then just chain one to lock that in place. Now for the first round, we're going to single crochet in each stitch around. We're going to have the same number of stitches that we have for the total of our leg or our foot, the circumference of it. So for me, that is 28 stitches. We're also going to pick up 2 extra stitches on the inside here just to avoid any holes. So I'm going to pick up a stitch from right there as well. And then I'm just going to single crochet around all of these stitches to set up for the heel. And once we get past these next couple of rounds, you're going to see that it looks exactly the same as the toe, which is exactly what we want. And this is just the starting point. So I'm going to keep working all the way around. And then once I get to this little corner here, I'm going to pick up a stitch. Sorry, I keep going off camera. I'm going to pick up a stitch right here to avoid any holes. And then I'm just going to finish crocheting all the way around. Just like that. Have a few more stitches. And then just like we did for the foot, we're not going to slip stitch. We're just going to jump right into the next round. So be sure to place a marker if you find that that is helpful for you. Alrighty, so there's the end of round 1. For round 2, we're going to single crochet in every stitch around, but place 1 decrease in each corner to decrease that stitch that we picked up. So I'm just going to single crochet until I get to that first corner. That corner is just where the leg and the foot meet. Once again, we're just working here so that we don't have any holes. Alrighty, so I'm going to place 1 decrease, just a single crochet 2 together in those 2 stitches. We're going to get back down to that 28 stitch count for me. Again, that'll vary just a little bit depending on what size that you were doing. The pattern is linked down below. And then I'm going to do that same exact thing on the other side of the sock, just to avoid any holes that we might have. This is also getting us down to that standard stitch count so that we can work the toe instructions in the pattern for the heel. Alrighty, I worked that decrease, and now I'm just going to finish up this round, single crocheting all the way around. And there we go. Alrighty, so those 2 setup rounds are now complete. And now all I'm going to do is work the same exact thing that I did for the toe for the heel. So you can either go back into the tutorial and rewind a little bit, or you can follow the written instructions down in the description box. So I'm going to go finish up the heel, close it off, and then meet you back here to show off my finished pair of socks. Alrighty, and here are my finished socks. I'm so happy with how these turned out. They are so quick to make, and I used just 1 ball of worsted weight yarn for this pair. So obviously that'll vary just a little bit depending on the size of socks that you're making. But needless to say, it doesn't use up a whole lot of yarn. It doesn't take a lot of time. And there are multiple sizes in the pattern, so you're bound to find one that fits you well. I'm so excited with how this pair turned out. Honestly, I didn't even plan to match these, so that's a super fun surprise. I'm not gonna lie. And like I said, I hope that you enjoyed it so much and that you have fun making your own pair. I hope you guys found this tutorial so helpful and fun to follow along with. I hope that you learned something new, that you are enjoying crocheting your very own pair of socks. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out by leaving a comment in the comment section below, or send an email to thegracefultangle@gmail.com, and I will be more than happy to answer any and all questions you may have. Again, the pattern itself, the materials that I used in this video, and my other pattern shops and social media platforms are listed in the description box below, so be sure to check all of those things out. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all again next time. Bye.